Good evening, folks. Welcome to part 7 of this mostly fresh start lightning elementalist. So last time we hit level 100, we did a bunch of farming. We're going to continue to do some farming today. We might spend a little bit of time in SR if it feels like the build can handle it, and just try to get some better gear. So we're trying to go a little bit beyond sort of the bare minimum. We still have get better Dreeg pants, among other things. Better gloves. Boots could be better too. Like, these Gaullus rings are okay. If we get Thunderstruck of either, obviously like Thunderstruck of Celestial Wrath or something crazy like that would be great, but not counting on that. Hey Miso, hey Master Halls, welcome in. And yeah, we also going to be doing some loom farming for better components and such. That's going to be necessary. So let's do a bloom farming run, and then check out the Storm Halberd situation. Hey Prickly, welcome in. The first Wheel of Time book is not the best in the series, if that's what you're asking me, so. And I also, it may take some time to get immersed in the world. I think there's a giant sort of flashback scene very early on where at first glance you might be wondering what the hell is going on here. It's actually extremely important, but got the final Gore Drinker piece. Nice. I like the idea of using Gore Drinker set, and I've never found a build that I like. That doesn't mean there aren't good builds, but when you factor in play style and sort of basic stat lines that I want, I haven't found anything that works, but I know people have used it successfully. It's not like it's a terrible set or anything. I feel like Tolkien-esque is like heavily inspired by Tolkien, and uses at least some of his tropes. Yeah, I mean, you get. I think traditionally a lot of Tolkien-esque stuff you're going to have elves and dwarves. Storm Charge of Thunder. I mean, this is a fairly substantial DPS loss. I'm moderately just curious. Okay, requires a ton of. We're not going to Cunning Dump enough to even think about that. 100% pass. Yeah, I don't think we're using the. We're a halberd build, but yeah, the whole point of the halberd is the vindictive flame stuff. So yeah, I don't get distracted by shiny things. Paper dogs welcome in. So I'm on the playtest branch of patch 1.3, which featured a decent size UI overhaul. You also have the option if you want to have like the Diablo style globes for health instead. I can let's see where do we so if we undo classic HUD, and I don't love that the mouse stuff is in the middle here, but yeah, you do have, and I think the scaling they probably could still do some work with. But I think you can probably adjust the scaling of the HUD as well. But yeah, so this is the other alternative for people who like that. But yeah, we're going back to classic HUD. And while I'm here, I really should disable tutorial tips. I do have thousands of hours in this game. It's kind of ridiculous that I never did that. Oh well. um, yeah. So if you want to get massive word of caution, if you do the playtest branch, the new playtest branch, they changed the way they do save files. So if you go into the playtest branch, you will not be able to revert. So either back up your make sure you thoroughly back up all of your save files and store them elsewhere before going into the playtest branch, or just kind of be ready for that. I think in general before a playtest is a good idea to back up, but especially on 1.3, since once you if you don't back up, you can't revert. Also note item assistant, things like that aren't yet compatible with the playtest, but if all that said you want to do it, I think it's in the crate forums under the one of the things about playtest patches. It should have like a frequently asked question or how to access the playtest, and there's some code that's a variation of the word city builder. It's a publicly available code, so you should hopefully be able to find it on the forums. If you don't, let me know. We can try to figure it out together. But yeah, be warned. Once you go, you basically can't go back. It's, yeah, I like to tell people that because I mean most people figure, well, it's 1.3 is going to come anyway, might as well. But yeah, I'd hate for someone to just try it on a lark and find that they're safe, that they're not able to revert. All right, cool. Good luck. Hope it works for you. Should be pretty straightforward, but yeah, it's I don't know if it's the playtest or if they did this the patch before, but the uh, the tooltips for the how item skill modifiers work are much more clear now, and it reduces the visual clutter on an item because you can just see, okay, this is how it's actually modifying the skill. But that might have been the last patch. It gets hard to keep track of some of these things when you're running playtest mode. That we don't. Haven't. And this is if I had to guess, I'd say this is probably the final patch before Fangs of Astrakarn. I can't be 100% sure of that, but it makes sense. And Crate's been pretty busy. They've done this. Obviously, they're continuing to work on Fangs of Astrakarn. I think they just released patch 1.1 on Farthest Frontier, which I should really go back and play a bit. Speaking of City Builder. I mean, like, obviously, yeah, like Snow White and the Seven Dwarves came before Tolkien. Just as an obvious example, but I mean, I do think it's fair to say that Tolkien essentially created the modern idea of fantasy in terms of writing. Did I? All right, we'll do some more blooms. Try the halberd again. Yeah, it's absolutely well worth buying. And I think of all the studios to give your money to, I think Crate and other indie studios that just really focus on making good games are the ones ideally you wanna support. I mean, at this point, the fact that we're even the expansion's taken longer than a lot of people would like, and I think Crate probably they take some of the blame for expectations management, but they're also an indie studio that doesn't do marketing, so I still think I'm kind of playing with house money in that if you never thought you'd get an expansion and you focus on the fact that you're getting something you never expected, you're going to feel a lot better about that than saying, "Oh, it's delayed." Because and if they're going to delay it because they want to keep adding cool stuff to it, on the one hand, like, yes, you could add that after the expansion launches. On the other hand, the fact that they're continuing to cook and come up with new stuff for this game, I'm pretty okay with. I mean, it probably helps that I'm still enjoying playing the game a lot, even waiting for the expansion. But hey, welcome in, Susie. Just Saw you popped in among all the other chatters. Hope you're doing well. That's Xantai's comment, Master Halls. Well, announcing in May, you know, means we're getting close to the end. Man, there's part of me. I'm probably going to be finishing a couple of the two rough drafts of books in May, which normally I take a break and go do some gaming. I still might do that, but depending on when Grim Dawn gets announced, Fangs of Astracard, I might save up my binge gaming time to just do a ton of Grim Dawn FOA streaming once it comes out. We'll have to see, because I do. When Fangs of Astracard comes out, I'm not going to do variety streaming for at least a couple of weeks. I just want to really explore the different different sets and things like that. Make some interesting builds. Play the Berserker. Like that's going to be enough new content that I'm not going to feel the need to play other games. Yeah, Grim Dawn's on sale. The DLC, not sure. The DLC is usually a bit pricier, but it does really transform the game. Way more quality of life and things like that. Oh, 64% off the Definitive Edition. Yeah, that should include everything, I think. So yeah, that's pretty damn good. Yeah, I don't think it'll include future expand. It shouldn't include future expansions. Just include what's there. But traditionally, Create is not charging Blizzard prices for an expansion either when it comes out. Like they never have. All right, no Storm Halberds. I kind of doubt they're going to expand the level cap, but I mean, until they announce Fangs of Astracard and do the sort of release announcement, which I imagine will have the release trailer and all the stuff they're going to include in it. Until that happens, I won't say never, but I still have to say unlikely. Very nice, Susie. I think you will probably have something left over to treat yourself to another game besides FOA, if I had to guess. But we'll see. I am trying to fathom how you possibly ended up with an electric and gas bill that high, Miso. Devastating of Alacrity is a nice little living ring. Keep that for future builds. So, Trixie, welcome in. Yeah, I'm staying on the 1.3. I mean, there's really, unless I want to revert back um, and recopy over all my save file stuff from the backup I made, I don't really have too much of a choice. But I also like most of the new features in 1.3, so being able to use Item Assistant isn't super worth it for me to justify going back. It's about the only thing that is going to change. Yeah, even for an entire house with a bunch of people, I can't fathom that that kind of bill. It's the uh, the term we would use in law is that it shocks the conscience. Yeah, pretty much exactly, Trixie. Well, if that's true, Susie, then I would say they're getting high on miso's supply. 10 points for anyone who understands the movie reference. Yeah, I don't know if you would be eligible based on income or if this exists, miso, but so I know in the United States, at least, there are various organizations that offer like very cheap or sometimes pro bono legal advice on issues where, and that include probably include issues like this. Again, I don't know the European legal landscape at all, but if that's a thing that could be worth looking into, if there's anyone locally, you'd be like, yeah, have you ever seen anything like this? What does one typically do? And it might be a very easy solution, but so if you can talk to someone a bit more professional, you might want to try doing that. But I just don't know what that would look like in your country. But there's no way anyone should be paying $10,000 for an electric bill. Like, maybe if you haven't paid your electric bill in 5 years, but that's obviously not the case here. So if you hadn't paid your electric bill in 5 years, they probably would have shut off the power, and you wouldn't be shocked that the bill was so high. Probably never, Morndale. Welcome in. We will get a bit more when we get the Salile augments. We'll probably have to do some rep farming for not too much actually, but all right. See totem, click totem, right? Yeah, so as long as you've contacted them, you should be hopefully be good. But that seems like a reasonable next step to take. And I think it's a lot of the time, a company, even if it's a state-run company, they're depending on you to not appeal or to not fight something. And I mean, I kind of doubt they want to have to publicly explain why they made some adjustment that's 50 times someone's normal bill. Like that just seems like it would be a terrible look for them. Yeah, you shouldn't be able to do 5 years of adjustments. That's I mean that's literally how you would bankrupt a family. Just tell them their electric bill is one thing for 5 years, and oh surprise, we undercharge you by $10,000. Pay up. Hey, people need to use their heads and understand what they're actually doing. I mean, it's like this is why it's why in the U.S. insurance companies sometimes will deny a valid claim, because they figure a certain number of people won't appeal, and you have to have insurance. So, and if everyone's doing it, then what are you going to do? I'm not going along with that, Trixie. But there absolutely are Americans who would not respond favorably to such developments. Is that the whole Merkel cutting deals with Putin and assuming it will never go wrong? Renegades of Maven's Win. Well, that's good. That sounds like a good initial development from the Ombudsman, Miso. You got something going for you there, at least. And a little bit of solar power is good for you. Yeah, can guarantee no one would pay that Trixie, and any firm that tried that would just be fired on the spot. Hey, welcome in, Farnsworth. Yeah. I'm having the best luck with blooms, but at least we now have 51, which means we can get a get some more expensive components. We're still going to continue doing some more bloom farming for a little bit, but I might take a break to do some SR. It's not the worst idea, Trixie. Yeah. Everything was cheaper back in the day. You know, back when, old timers like Viley and myself walked uphill both ways in the snow to school for 2 miles, I think is how we say that. I'm working on getting into my old man era, so I've got to learn all the back in my day, kids. Back in the Stone Age, I'm not I'm not quite that old, Marndale. If I was, if I was actually that old, I'd be at least a demigod. In which case, y'all should be venerating me. All right, Vitrez is 16 over. And Cult of Salile. Let's All right, let's go do some bounties. Definitely not the most fun thing in this game, but it will be worth it. Yeah, parts of the U.S. are amazing for walking and biking, and other parts are absolutely atrocious. So we have a lot more truly rural, unpopulated areas, and even suburbs that you need a car to get around. But some cities and some like large, especially larger, denser suburbs with more of a city center are very walkable, very bikeable. So I assume Ocean City, New Jersey, then Viley. It's I spent some time in Ocean City. It has its charm. It's been a long time though. Oh, also Ocean City, Maryland. Did not know that was a thing. But a lot of states have a similar town, an identical named town in them, so it shouldn't be shocking. About 9 miles. Okay, that's not too bad then. I've seriously considered biking, 15 miles to get to a brewery. The only problem with that plan is you're not biking back home. Yeah, I can unfortunately see e-bikes being something that people steal. That was Maastricht was the I'm maybe butchering the pronunciation, but that's a famous economic cooperation treaty by that. There's a famous economic cooperation treaty in Europe by that name, isn't there? Um, I'm trying to remember if it was about currency exchange or trade. My my history is failing me at the moment. Okay, yeah, yeah. So EU and currency. So I know there was a treaty before that one, which set various. Okay, so torrents of storm totems. That's not good. That set various exchange rates and things like that, and that's what led to the breaking of the British pound. Or wait, was hold on, breaking of the British pound. Yeah, so that was right around that time, but Alright, let's do Seal of Annie. We are, yeah, we have plenty of seals. Okay. Riftstone. Tallow. This is definitely cheaper now that the seals cost has been reduced. Seal Annihilation. Okay, we have a Typhoon Powder on this. Keep the item. Replace the augment and keep item. Last thing you want to do is accidentally wreck a conduit. And one Typhoon Powder. So we only have trap res from the Chains of Oleron. That's not the most ideal. Let's see. And we have no freeze res, so if we run into Moosey, that's a problem. All right, let's continue to upgrade our see if we can upgrade our halberd. I mean, I guess taking part of whatever the bike was strapped to is a path of least resistance there. It's kind of crazy that that's the way to do it, but it's a shame the level of degeneracy that exists in society. But Incanters of Thunder, it's hypothetically Primal Strike 77. So Primal Strike hits for way more damage with Incanters of Thunder, but obviously we don't have the attack speed. So if we are going to switch to cooldown Primal Strike, this would be interesting, but all right, let's grab a few more blooms. That's not something I would recommend trying in the States because the thieves, unfortunately, are likely to be armed with something that would make that unwise. Oh, sure. And I mean, if you're in that situation, it's not an unreasonable action. I'm not in any way condemning it, but more just the U.S. That might cause you problems, so I don't recommend it. Yeah, bike rentals are a thing in a lot of cities. Walk, train, or car, depending on where I'm going. Alright, we'll make a little more progress towards getting revered with Salile. I somehow managed to accidentally kill an elite back there. Well, that could not be more perfectly timed back-to-back bounties. We're already deep in Corvin City, and we just port back to that rift, kill Azalian, and we guess basically get 2 bounties for the price of 1. All right. Yeah, we're getting there. Well, 95 means you have all the top gear on it, right? Missing a few items, so stuff you have to farm. But that seems like it should be easy enough to get. Is the chest craftable? I know there are a couple that might be, but I forget if. Unfortunately, no. Okay. Well, this is one of the rules of all time. As the drinkers of the Slayer. Yep, let's 3,500 iron bits. I may have. No, okay. I was going to say I thought I went past, but there are a few different spawn locations, and there's one up here.
Come see what's left of my wares. See you around.
Down to 78 blooms. Yeah, got to farm those up. Yeah, Gauss farming has its uses, absolutely, Susie. It definitely teaches you how to find the hole better. So one nice thing about when you're doing SSF runs is your overall bloom stash doesn't get depleted, and sometimes you just dump off excess blooms when you're done. Well, well, well. First time for everything. We have been nemesis with Beast for several hours of playtime. This is the first time Kubus popped up. So Susie, your question, to answer that, I already have a couple of Lokar sets and some leveling gear. I might need to have a better MI stash, but I expect I will figure something out. So I think the percent is some sort of a modifier to whatever your pet's base OA and DA is, Trixie. I'm not sure exactly how it works, though. I would imagine it's also dependent on the pet, that each pet would have its own base OA, DA, and such, but...
I'll give you a good price for what I've got left. Might well spend it.
Alright, let's turn in this bounty as well. I'm sure that knowledge exists somewhere, but yeah. Yeah, we don't care about bounties anymore. We are going to do a prismatic diamond, though, in our helm, I think. So it's that arcane spark, wrathstone, and radiant gem. Dense fur, molten skin, rigid shell. Okay, so somewhere... Oh, there's my prismatic diamond, okay.
Don't get killed enough.
item. All right, we need better pants. We need better gloves. Other stuff is semi-negotiable.
Bring me back something interesting.
Okay, so it looks like with our main procs, regen hits at 10,175. With no procs, it's no procs. It's about 4,000. One proc, it's about 7,000. I mean, that's pretty solid sustain. We get a small amount of leech from Primal Strike, not a ton, and we get leech from Vindictive Flame. Double Zentaran. Yikes. Yeah, you know, if a game is crashing 200 times for you in a day, I don't think it's the game. I mean, I've never had amazing gaming. I use. I bought a laptop in I think 2017 and another one in 2021. So I'm very much. And they weren't ultra high end laptops. They were just kind of reasonable. Had more than what I needed to run all the games that I wanted to run at the time. And I've never had problems with Grim Dawn or most other games, even more demanding ones. Yeah, I can't remember the last time I've had an issue. And I'm sure the fact that we can't use Item Assistant currently in 1.3 has nothing to do with that. Also, can't remember the last time I actually finished the Hargrave quest. All right, I'm gonna take a look at what other pants we might consider farming. SR28 on Missouri Dervish. I want to make a pun about miserable, but I'm not going to do it. Going to do a couple of totems as well, see if we have any luck with glove upgrades. So you really should not be rocking level 75 gloves at this point, even if they have good skill point modifiers. Yeah, when in doubt, run SR. All right, we're going to do a couple more runs, and then I think we just have to start braving SR a little bit. I'm probably going to use Hoarfrost potions because we have no freeze res. Can also probably rejigger a few things on augments, but so do Drieg boss, the halberd bosses, a few totems, blooms, maybe craft some more rare components. I would say potions are useful if you're pushing SR or fighting certain higher end super bosses. Otherwise, I don't think you ever really need to bother. And maybe sometimes if you're running around on ultimate with low of with low resistances and you want to kind of mitigate that weakness, they can be a little bit useful there too. So I'm leaning towards this being the last day of playing this build and starting a new Grim Dawn character over the weekend. So we'll continue to do a little bit of farming. We'll do at least SR 20 and low car. So I thought about stretching this build to 8 streams, but I just think after a certain point with SSF, you're either relentlessly farming perfect gear or you kind of have to say good enough. And I think with our Gallus ring farming and some other stuff, we went a little bit beyond what I'd normally do in the good enough category. But we're not quite going to bridge the gap of what happens if you spend 40 hours on a character. Like there's kind of a line, and I think especially if you're starting a game, if you're playing on softcore and just don't mind pushing SR and taking more risks, which we could probably do and be fine, but you can also do 15 SR runs and not get the legendary you want. So there's no guarantee. It's one reason I usually put a lot of MIs on these builds. Anyway, let's Fate Weaver is a really nice chess piece, but I think we have to stick to the Valexteria. All right, let's try SR20. We have no. I am going to redo some augments. Sorry, how many Wraith Screams do I have? All right, Sky Shard powder. Keep item. Keep item. I'm going to do 1 Frozen Heart for a bit more freeze and petrify res. It's still pretty terrible, but it's better than it was. We'll do Bloodied Crystal, which is Fang, and Silk Swatch for a bit more DA. We don't need the bleed res, but the DA and the armor is nice. And we're going to do double living armor. So do we have the ancient armor plates for this? Yeah, okay, we're good there. Keep item. Keep item. So with this, we can actually be a bit more willing to find a good pair of Dreeg pants. I might spend a bit more time. Consecrated of the Eagle isn't bad, is it? Fixes the Vit res problem. Do we need the slow res? This also has more OA. We lose chaos res is the only thing. We don't need the slow res though. So all right, maybe we do a little more MI farming. See what we can get for the Dreeg pants. Because I think with living armor, losing all that chaos res isn't going to be as much of an issue, so we can be in better shape there. Storm Shepherd belt in my stash. So Storm Touch chains, and then this is Chains of Nightfire. I'm trying to see if I have any other belts. I don't see anything else. Ordered of what's of arcane winds do? Honestly, nothing that good. Check for the halberd again. I think I theory crafted this build around getting Arcana Weave Cord, which is a reasonably common blue, just has not dropped. It would have +1 to Shaman, Pierce Chaos Res, and a bit of health and some nice percent damage. Stalwart of Readiness is not the upgrade we want. All right, have a good night, Susie. Thanks for dropping by. See you next time. Get some sleep. Um, Heard of it? Haven't played it. Yeah, I will always support more kind of indie RPGs. I mean, that's really what Grim Dawn is, and it's the almost certainly at this point the most played game in my adult life by far. Almost certainly the most played game in my life period. And it all started with a fairly small studio. But yeah, I mean, my experience with Grim Dawn is why I'm very supportive, at least in theory, of other indie ARPGs. I'm not necessarily, like, I guess, supportive in spirit. I'm not going to buy a game just because it's made by an indie studio if I don't think I'm ever going to play it. But I like seeing the developments that are coming out. So at least I guess I can provide moral support for them. Impervious of insight. So if insight is chaos res, impervious is absolutely not something we even pretend to need at this point. But the chaos res and elemental damage is probably we lose a bit of chaos vit, poison pierce, percent Ellie. Yeah, this is we lose some health. We can afford to lose some health. I'll make another scaled hide. Okay, insane amount of at least pierce overcap. Poison a little less so, but we can. Oh yeah, Devil's Crossing has. We are revered with Devil's. No, we're apparently not. Well, we'll figure something out. Let's go Seal of Resonance maybe for. That requires Wardstone and Dense Fur. Okay, freeze res is 52, which is not great, but it's a hell of a lot better than it was. Petrify, again, these are all not great, but better than they were. Trap res is abysmal, but what are you gonna do? You've finished the first book. Is that a little hate? Sorry, what's there are two Joe Abercrombie series. First Law trilogy. Oh no, the Blade itself is the first one. Yeah, Joe Abercrombie's fun. I don't think he is super groundbreaking, but I mean that's true for most fantasy authors at this point. I mean, frankly, it's whenever I write something, it's going to be true for me too. So I don't think you need to be groundbreaking. I think he's a good storyteller, though, and I think he creates some interesting characters. There's not a ton of amazing plot, but the characters are interesting, and just watching them interact is fun. Yeah, I've read both trilogies and uh, one of the First Law kind of interlude books, Best Served Cold. Okay, so let's see. I'm trying to find augments that I bought, and my eyes right now are just glazing over stuff. You just have so much stuff in your inventory, you don't see what you're trying to look for sometimes. Which is, oh, here we go, Salile's Blood Binding. I'm just going to put this on everything and then take it off on ones where we need. All right, Chaos is 17 over, Aether's 35, Vit is 4, Poison is still 49. Okay. Barrowhome Revered would have. I'm going to take 2 of the Wound Seer powders for now. Get a bit of more bleed over cap. Okay, so 25,300 health. DA is up to 2,400, which is actually semi-respectable considering we have 175 OA Shred. OA is 3,000, which again, for a random cobbled together SSF build is not the worst thing. Our percent damage is going to be pathetic, but... Well, yeah, 1,800 is pretty low, but is what it is. We still need an improvement in our gloves, but maybe SR will deliver. Yeah, Trixie, for these runs, I don't reset blueprints, so I can craft relics and such and components, but no like set or random legendary pieces. So yeah, all the gear has been found, and then the materials to craft the components is SSF, and then yeah, like we've got Fettin Mask. I got lucky. This only took 4 conduit rolls. It's actually super lucky. And then Gauss rings I spent forever farming. Storm Halberd. Hey, Rek, thank you for the raid. Welcome in, guys. We are in day 7 of our SSF Elementalist. I was kind of motivated to try this. I thought the Vindictive Flame getting 50% weapon damage was sort of a cool change. So we rolled a Storm Halberd Elementalist. Got lucky, as I was saying. Only took 4 crafts to get Lightning Cocktail Conduit. So, yeah, let's craft some Waste Stones and see how a bit more time in SR goes. We'll go Resonating. We'll do SR 20. How was the stream, wrecked? You were playing Grim Dawn, I think I saw, right? I think Resonating. I don't know why. For whatever reason, I've on occasion Confused, Resonating, and Desecrated, which is absurd, but there you have it. Okay, offer a Desecrated Waste Stone to Shard 20. There we go. Yeah, it's just pretty much just all the lightning. Plus, Lightning Cocktail looks cool. That's half the reason we do anything. These are fairly abysmal modifiers. Life goes on. Arcane. Attack speed is also not very good. But I still think we do more damage than we would with cooldown. Chaos Skelly Mages, that's Fangs of Astracharn item, I'm guessing. Yeah, we were definitely not speedrunning SR in this build, but don't really have to. It's very hard for me to want to do pet builds. This is not the most fun level, but whatever. It gets really sketchy. This can get really sketchy in higher SR. But I did not realize that was a dead end, but I think Zentarn is still behind. Yeah, just make sure we don't run into his shotgun, and we should be fine. There, got him. Okay, Tyrgan, Musi. Oh, of course we have the map room protectors. Of course. And Musi with our freeze res, that's always interesting. I think this guy with our freeze res also potentially a problem. Good thing we are a regen build. So we care a little bit less about that. Is that a blat? Was that, there's Prismatic Rage, not Serenity. Okay. Yeah, we have like 50% freeze res, so this is not the ideal boss room for this particular character. Alright, let's get Margul isolated from the map room, guys, if we can. Or not. You know what? Screw it. Cluster and just wail on them for 8 seconds and see what happens. 2, 1. Alright, Margul down. At least one of the these guys is dead. And yeah, so for our build, that was kind of a sketchy boss room. We don't have the freeze res. And the map room guys are kind of a nasty surprise, but we'll do 2021. I know you can do it vilely. I have done it on very rare occasion, but it's definitely not easy. I feel like killing elites is kind of the way to go in SR now. With the timer being a little bit harder. Yeah, I mean, if you're trying to finish a chunk and you see a Nemesis and your build's good for it, the Nemesis is still worth it, but build like this, which has, let's say, a little bit less in the way of damage output, elites are probably going to be better for the clock, at least. Zarya, Valderin. What? I was complaining about the map room protector, and we doubled them. Oh my god. Alright, Zarya, can you come over here, please? dead? You're dead, right? Yeah. Okay, we at least managed to get one group of these guys at the time. We did take a Sunder, which is 49% more damage. We have total damage reduction. All kinds of fun. All right. All right, one of these guys is dead. Dodge that. No, I thought we dodged the Sunder. Yes, we did not. I want to be a little bit respectful when I'm sundered. The fizz damage is, I'm just curious, 9227. Guarantee you that's one of those guys. Like, there's no way it's not. If we had, again, we use a cluster here, we can probably do this a little better, but second one's down.
Well done.
Getting high, welcome in. Alright, I think almost all of this stuff is sellable. Incanters of Alacrity. And none of this really... Impervious of Shadows, Elena's necklace. I think I'll keep that. Still no belts. Sorry, no, not no belts, no gloves.
Got any more scrap metal?
Next time we do, and if we do SR26, we'll use the Hoarfrost because fighting Musi and Tyrgan without Hoarfrost seems like a bad idea. Anyway, let's go fight Lokar. We actually made the Hoarfrost for Lokar's dungeon. Still using the budget movement rune component, but it's working all right. You know what? We are going to upgrade our movement rune component because that just seems like a good idea. think we go Amatok. We have 5 of these Celestial Lotuses, so even if we get the best in slot medal for this build, let's say Wrathstone and Coldstone. And you can also you can make a fair argument that at least on an SSF run, you can show Lokar a little bit more respect. Yeah, Warder, depending on what you do, is pretty tanky. If you go regen, it's basically impossible to kill. Oh, great, Vengeful. Yeah. Literally took the Hoarfrost for this dungeon, so let's use it. Anyone want to drop a Dark One piece? Go up. No Dark One piece. Okay. Okay, we did proc Blast Shield, but mostly our regen carried us through that, even though our damage was not amazing. Didn't cluster. Pretty much stayed in face tankable range the whole time. So, as far as standard stuff for this build, Lokar, and typically do SR14 and Lokar. We did 2021. We'll do SR26. Celestial Waystone. Hopefully get better luck with mutators. Is this Avenger Warder? It has to be with those regen stats, right? I guess I also real okay. These are horrible mutators. So yeah, if we run into Moosey in the boss room, I think we do the freeze pot. But otherwise, we can pretty much keep this as is, I guess. Moved about a half second before we had to on that arcane, but thing is, you'd much rather dodge the arcane too early rather than too late. Grava. Yeah, we don't need to fight you, so we're not going to. Aether ground map, always fun. Okay, no arcanes here. This is this sort of build where you actually want to know what nemesis you are potentially facing. Reaper, I mean, probably not a huge deal, but just so much easier to fight the elites for most of the time, with a few exceptions. Kaizen, Laria, Musi, Theoden. Go Kaizen first. Alright, we don't need to get hit by your Sunder. Okay, we got hit by it at the end, but that was pretty much fine because you were dead. Laria, get over here. Yeah. Let's just go. Let's go for Moosey. Did not mean to also summon Theoden. Whoops. don't need to get hit by a Sunder while we're frozen. Okay, that was fine. That was not the most artful dodge, but whatever, he's dead. Let's go on.
Well done.
We're still, again, rocking level 75 gloves. Got Archmage Alexander over there. Alexander tried to just hit me from off screen. Extremely rude. Alright, we'll watch the arcane. Alright. Looks like the arcane projectile launched. Okay, we have the Council, Fabius, Bargol, Iron Maiden. Alright, we go Council first. No, no, no. Oh, no, no. That's exactly the opposite of what we should have done, because they apply their buffs afterwards. So it's been a minute since I've done this, and I almost made a massive blunder. Still might make a bit of a blunder, but at least we don't have Giga buffed Fabius. Okay. Crisis averted. Iron Maiden somewhat resistant to lightning, if I recall. Just dodge her initial blitz. She has men here as well at some point, so you just have to out DPS her. Yeah, that was almost really bad, Viley. Alright, Council. Now they can just now they only are gonna buff themselves. Alright, that's SR 2627 done, which is more than we normally do on one of these SSF runs. Well, we got it. This is a we lose a bunch of OA, which probably not amazing, but I imagine that's something we can compensate for, and this would give a lot more damage to Vindictive Flames. So this was kind of what I had planned around, but we ended up using the Martin Crest. We got a Thunderstruck of attack roll, which is kind of good enough. Obviously, we're basically done with this build now, so we're not going to switch out or anything. But that's at least it's at least the idea of what I was thinking when I made the build, was to be as much all lightning as possible. So let me get you guys a final Grim Tools. This is going to be the version that did Lokar and SR 2627. Rest of the week we will yeah, Anastaria is super concerning when you run into her. Arcane Spark in place of the Wardstone, definitely we could do. That would contribute a lot. So yeah, that's a thought, but this is the final Grim Tools we ended up with. We still didn't upgrade our gloves at all, but such is life. Sometimes you just don't get the drop. And these had skill points that I wanted to keep, so I didn't want to just switch out for some generic junk gloves. Anyway, let's take a look and see who's on. rest of the week will be kind of just chill, relaxing, playing through some Dishonored, picking up a few more achievements, and Saturday, Sunday we will start a new SSF run. All right, I'm gonna send you guys over to. Looks like I'll send you guys over to Rainin. Yeah, we got a pretty good amount of HP, all things considered. I mean, Elementalist and Double Gauss definitely helps, but I appreciate everyone hanging out. Thanks again, Rect, for the raid, and I will see you guys next time.